time.
Thank you, Congressman.
Madam Ambassador.
I recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Lawler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Administrator, following January reports that 12 UNRWA employees were involved in the October 7th terrorist attack, the administration halted new money towards UNRWA. In the appropriations package Congress passed recently, we added an additional year-long funding pause. There's no question here, UNRWA must be defunded and disbanded. There are institutional problems at UNRWA that were present long before October. In fact, there was an amendment to defund UNRWA in the State and Foreign Operations Appropriations Bill that was voted on in September of last year. I voted yes on that amendment along with 212 of my colleagues. Now, it wasn't enough for the amendment to pass, but it demonstrates that there was already serious concern with the operations of UNRWA prior to the administration's decision to cut funding. Further, this past November, I led floor debate to pass the Peace and Tolerance in Palestinian Education Act, which discussed the anti-Jewish and anti-Israel curricula taught to children in Gaza and the West Bank, curricula taught by UNRWA employees. So while, yes, we appreciate the prohibition on new funding in January, this is long overdue, as there were clear and present issues at UNRWA that looks like were ignored by the administration. Did you have concerns about UNRWA prior to October 7th?
You know, we've been here for a few hours, and I've been engaging all the UNRWA questions. I just do want to make clear that USA doesn't fund UNRWA. I don't have any oversight over UNRWA or any engagement with UNRWA, and probably detailed questions, notwithstanding the fact that I've been trying to answer them, are better extended elsewhere. Part of the challenge here about the idea of disbanding is that while the again, inexcusable if the allegations are proven true, nature of
Would you have reason to believe the allegations are untrue?
Again, I'm not. The investigation is underway. I think we would not have suspended funding if we didn't deem the allegations credible. But you know,
I mean, listen, Administrator, with respect, in your prior role, did you have concern about UNRWA?
I'm not going to talk. I mean, there's so much going on in the world now. My prior role ended on January 20th, 2017.
Right. And at any point, did you have concern?
I also had no funding control over UNRWA. In that role, I would note.
I didn't ask about funding control. I asked about concern.
Here's the challenge, which is often.
Administrator, I asked you a specific question. Did you have concern?
Yes, I did engage. I did engage, and I did, of course, the textbook concerns members of the administration. The challenge is, and it was not a Democratic administration that pushed for elections in Gaza, but those elections did give rise to the election of Hamas. Hamas was the state before now the Israeli war to dismantle the state, and the state in every nation has a lot of say over textbooks. And that was true for a UN agency that worked, as it were, at the pleasure of the state. We may not like the fact that those elections that the United States pushed for produced the outcome of Hamas as the leadership. I certainly don't like that. You don't like it. Putting people who want to eliminate another people in power is not anything that anybody would have wished. But the effect is that the governing institution had a fair amount of, significant leverage over the UN agency that was carrying out
It's a terrorist state that has had control over this agency, which is in part why we have pushed to defund it. Would you support future year appropriations defunding UNRWA?
I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to the King of Jordan, for example.
Yes, I have. I've had dinner with him in Jordan.
And about what it is going to mean for the Jordanian people to have 2 million young people not, basically looking for where their schools are going to get support for. Now, it may be that the Europeans and others come in and address this issue, and it doesn't fall to him.
Defunding UNRWA does not mean that we don't deal with humanitarian issues. It doesn't mean that we don't.
No, but it just is
deal
the
with
school
education.
System.
Right.
It is
doesn't mean that we don't deal with it. It means we find a
Palestinian.
different vehicle by which to do this. But UNRWA itself has proven to be corrupt.
But as you've been here for much of the exchange, there's no NGO, there's no UN agency that creates school systems. That's not. There's no like U-Haul where there's a school system that you just deploy in Jordan. to educate 2.6 million Jordanian kids. It just doesn't work that way. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that be taken into account.
Being snide about it is not actually solving the issue here. The reality is UNRWA is not the vehicle by which we should be sending American taxpayer dollars at this point. It's just not.
And we will follow the law.
And we should, right. My question to you was, do you support moving forward?
I'm describing the benefits of educating young people across the region and providing health services, and I'm not seeing a viable alternative. So I would suggest...
So you believe we should continue to fund UNRWA?
I think, first of all, we don't know what Gaza is going to look like after this war ends. Hopefully, Hamas will be dismantled and new institutions will be in place whereby they will take care of educating their own young people, and you won't need a UN agency to do it. Right. But it is extremely important that we look out for young people in Gaza. It is going to do nobody any favors for them not to have access to an education.
In fact, the fact is, on October 7th, part of the reason that you had that type of terrorist attack is because of the level of hatred and anti-Semitism that is taught in schools in Gaza. That is part of the problem here. And UNRWA helped in terms of allowing for that to occur under the guise of UN agency. It is disgusting. It is shameful. And the fact that we, as the United States, have helped support that organization, helped fund it, is an embarrassment. And that's why we fought to defund it.
Gentleman's time has expired. I recognize the gentleman from Massachusetts.